Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, the National Weather Service continues to survey storm damage in Kentucky, including in Clark County, where at least one tornado touched down there. And crews in Baltimore face a tall order in trying to reopen the shipping channel clogged by debris following the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge.
And we stay chilly in the short term, but a warm-up is on the way. Your first alert forecast coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. The National Weather Service confirms that Clark County was one of several counties in Kentucky to see tornadoes touch down earlier this week. Alyssa Williams spoke with Clark County emergency personnel to learn more about the damage across the county and their safety plans moving forward.
It was Tuesday when Clark County was hit with two EF1 tornadoes.
The first one, being the larger of the two, actually originated in Bourbon County around Bethlehem Road. It tracked for about 13 miles going across the north part of Clark County. Combs Ferry Road, Big Stoner, and White Turley Road is where it about ended as an EF1 tornado.
Steve Asbury is the Clark County Fire Chief and the county's Emergency Management Director. He says the southwest part of the county was also hit.
The severity was supposed to be more intense later in the afternoon, so the morning when, it crept up on a lot of communities here in Kentucky.
Chief Asbury says there has been one home and a few barns just like the one behind me here that has reported extensive damage. Other than that, there have been no injuries reported. He says that's why it's so important to remain weather aware ahead, during, and following a severe weather event just like the one we had on Tuesday.
We do any type of training that we can with our community. We're going to be starting a community emergency response team. We're going to have that training available very soon. We just want our community to make sure that they remain weather aware throughout the year, no matter what time.
The owner of the damaged barn off Big Stoner Road opted not to be on camera, but says he feels grateful the tornado missed his home near the barn. In Clark County, Alyssa Williams, WKYT.
So far, the tornado count is up to 12 in Kentucky, and that number could still go up. Coming up at 6, we were with National Weather Service crews as they surveyed the damage today in Whitley County. This year's hurricane season could be one for the record books, with nearly double the average number of named storms predicted this season. That's according to early predictions released today by forecasters at Colorado State University. From June to November, forecasters predict 23 named storms, including 11 hurricanes and 5 Category 3 or higher major hurricanes. It's the most active April forecast ever issued.
We are tracking some gloomy weather across the region on this Thursday evening, tracking some cloudy conditions, also some below average weather and some hit or miss rain or sleet showers up on first alerts. Pinpoint Doppler tracking a few more showers into this evening, zooming into the Big Sandy Valley from Morgan County, pushing into Johnson County. Also some light showers close to Pikeville and Pike County, and a few more light sprinkles close to I-75 from Laurel County, pushing into parts of Whitley, also Knox counties at this hour. A live look across the mountains, we are tracking an overcast sky, and also those temperatures are much cooler on this Thursday. We should be in the middle 60s, most of us right now in the middle 40s, up to 44 in Jackson, 45 in Hazard, and 47 for Manchester, also in Harlan at this hour. And we are not done with the messy weather just yet. Notice as we zoom out, we are tracking a strong area of low pressure close to Cleveland, Ohio. And this spin in the atmosphere will continue, pushing in some more moisture, also some more cool conditions. So we stay unsettled at times into this evening. Also, as we go into tomorrow for your Friday, not going to rain all day tomorrow, but similar to today, those off and on showers are likely. A little bit better to kick off this weekend, and then some more rain chances as we go into much of next week. Those details coming up in just a little bit. Steve?
Cameron, thank you. A suspect in Nashville's deadly Easter brunch shooting is now in custody. Authorities say Anton Rucker was arrested in Princeton, Kentucky, in the western part of the state, about 100 miles north of Nashville. He's accused of opening fire at a restaurant after an altercation, killing one person and wounding 5 others. People who were wounded have non-life-threatening injuries. Metro Nashville police said there is no indication the suspect and victim knew each other. While sentencing a January 6th rioter, a federal judge blasted the man for downplaying the U.S. Capitol attack. Taylor Jontanakis was sentenced to more than 7 years in prison yesterday. He has echoed Donald Trump's rhetoric about the insurrection, saying it was overblown. During sentencing, District Judge Royce Lamberth warned of a vicious cycle if we normalize the Capitol attack. He said the riot was a corrosive and selfish affront to the nation. A federal judge says migrant children need to be moved to safe and sanitary facilities. Thousands of asylum seekers are living in makeshift camps in remote sections of California's desert. Attorneys have argued that immigration officials directed them there, then failed to provide adequate food, water, and shelter. The Biden administration said the children there are not actually in federal custody because they haven't been arrested by Customs and Border Protection. The U.S. may be on the verge of changing some of its support for Israel following the airstrikes on aid workers that killed 7, including a dual U.S.-Canadian citizen. CBS's Skylar Henry has more from the White House.
President Biden called Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and expressed outrage over the killing of 7 aid workers during an Israeli airstrike in Gaza.
President, well, all of us, but particularly the president, was certainly shaken by the attack on the WCK convoy.
The White House says Biden made it clear that Israel needs to announce concrete steps to protect civilians, aid workers, and address humanitarian suffering in Gaza in the next few hours and days.
If we don't see the changes that we need to see, there'll be changes in our own policy.
The humanitarian crisis is further challenged, with World Central Kitchen halting its operations in Gaza following the deaths of their workers. Other nonprofits have followed suit.
100% of the population in Gaza knows acute levels of food insecurity. 100% of the population is in need of humanitarian assistance.
Chef Jose Andres, the founder of World Central Kitchen, says he doesn't buy Israel's explanation. The strike was a mistake because his organization coordinates its movements with the Israeli military.
It was really a direct attack on a clearly marked vehicles.
The attack killed 33-year-old Jacob Flickinger, and his parents told CBS News they don't believe it was a mistake either.
The facts on the ground seem to indicate that it wasn't a quote, tragic accident.
Flickinger, a military veteran, leaves behind an 18-month-old son. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Delaware Senator Chris Coons, one of President Biden's closest allies in Congress, said today that he believes any new U.S. military aid to Israel should now come with a condition to protect civilians. Next week, President Joe Biden will host Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida at the White House for an official visit to the United States. The visit will include a meeting, a joint news conference, and a state dinner. This will be the 5th official visit Biden has hosted as president. The visit underscores the importance of the alliance between the U.S. and Japan as both countries seek to counterbalance China's influence. No ticket for no labels. The centrist group No Labels is ditching plans to form a third-party presidential unity ticket for this year's election. No Labels spokesperson Marianne Martini confirmed the decision in a statement. Martini insisted Americans still want a unifying independent presidential option. However, she said the group stands by its commitment not to field a third-party ticket unless it can find candidates with a credible path to the White House. Excuse me. President Biden is scheduled to visit Baltimore tomorrow, where he'll meet with families of the workers who died in last week's collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Crews are facing daunting challenges to reopen the shipping channel, now clogged with debris from the destroyed bridge. As a first step to clearing the wreckage, salvage divers are assessing the treacherous underwater landscape. It's a job so dangerous, it's now being done with buddy teams.
And so every single diver that goes into the water has been paired with an operator who uses a mix of 3D renderings and drawings and pictures to be able to guide their partner.
Unified Command says its other big priority is to remove the damaged cargo ship. Crews are rigging containers to remove them from the bows of the vessel, as well as removing chunks of steel and concrete embedded in the bow. The Metropolitan Transit Authority wants the organizers of the New York City Marathon to fork over $750,000 a year. It's citing the steep loss of bridge toll revenues for closing the Verrazano Narrows Bridge for the marathon. An MTA spokeswoman says taxpayers cannot be expected to subsidize a non-government organization like the New York Roadrunners for that kind of money. About 50,000 runners are expected to participate in the marathon in November. Vice President Kamala Harris is visiting North Carolina today to announce $20 billion in clean energy funds. The Biden administration says the money will go toward tens of thousands of projects across the country. In total, they could avoid up to 40 million metric tons of planet-warming pollution during the next 7 years. That's equal to taking more than 9.5 million cars off the road annually. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30. Some folks are always trying to find ways where they can save money. We'll hear from an expert about what steps you can take to make that happen.
Plus, we are tracking another freeze by Friday night. Those details coming up after this break.